In today's world, it can be really difficult to focus on just one task, but today I'm going to show you how to separate yourself from the pack by using the rare skill of eating the frog. Hey everyone, welcome back into another episode of Fast and Focus, where we dive into topics that go beyond the form of traditional self-discipline. My name is Zach Matthews. I'm the head coach over here at Fast and Focus, and you're watching episode 1 of the time management series, where we're going to be covering and diving into the 5 most effective ways to get more done in less time. Over the next 5 weeks, count them 5, we're going to be talking about the most crucial time management principles that you need to be incorporating into both your career and your lifestyle. In this episode, I'll be covering the concept that you see at the top there, the concept of eating the frog. I'm going to break down the psychological aspects of why it works, as well as the best tips that I've found for having success with it. For those of you that are unfamiliar with this term and you're like, what the heck is he talking about? This actually comes from a quote from Mark Twain, who once said, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, count them 2, then it's best to do the biggest one first. Now, what he's talking about there is basically, he was talking along the lines of productivity, basically what we're talking about here, right? How to get more done in less time, how to be more effective. And so his argument was, if you have a large or an unwanted task that you have to perform, you know you have to do it at some point during the day, during the week, during the month, then his argument is, just like a frog, if it was your job to eat a frog, then you're going to want to do that large unwanted task first thing in the morning so that you can knock it out, and then you're playing with house money the rest of the day. So first things first, why would I want to eat the frog? Like, what's in it for you if you follow this principle? I understand. So let me break down 3 of the biggest benefits I've found when I incorporated it into my life years back, and I'm still doing it to this day. First of all, it reduces your stress levels. Once it's done, it's done. And if you're like me, if you know you have a task that you don't want to do, there's a tough conversation you need to have, or just a project that you do not want to work on, but you know you have to for the sake of your career or your personal life, then you can knock out those other tasks afterwards without feeling the weight of that large impending task that you don't want to do that you have to do. So that will help you reduce the stress. Number 2, the second benefit is that it increases your productivity. You're giving yourself more time and more energy first thing in the morning, more willpower to focus on what is probably going to be the most draining task of the day. Because as you know, the tasks that we don't want to do, those are the most draining ones because they require more willpower and more brain cognition. So just doing them first thing in the morning, it makes sure that you're going to be more effective with that task, even though you don't want to do it. And then the third benefit of eating the frog and following that principle is that it gives you a sense of accomplishment. I mean, that goes without saying, but this is probably the most valuable benefit of all, because not only did you finish the one project you didn't want to do, but you knocked it out probably before anyone else even started it that day. So this will help you separate yourself from the good to the great, because, let's say it's a work-related task. You've knocked it out while everybody else on your team still hasn't even touched it, right? That gives you the sense of accomplishment so that you can use that as momentum towards the rest of your day, your week, or your month. It's also important to note that this is not just something that is based on personal preference. Eating the frog actually lines perfectly with how you are wired as a human being, how your brain works. Because as I mentioned before, willpower has to be the focal point here. And eating the frog actually leverages your willpower and how it operates. Now, there have been numerous studies that have been done on willpower and how it works in human beings, and they all confirm the same thing, that willpower acts like a muscle. And I'll take a deeper dive into willpower in a later episode. But basically what you need to know is that you only have a certain amount of willpower each day when you wake up. Let's say you're given 10 spoons of willpower that you can use on different tasks that you have to accomplish throughout the day, personal, professional, and otherwise. Okay. And if that large unwanted task is going to take away 5 of those 10 spoons you were given, then you only have 5 more spoons to work with for the rest of the day. So leveraging that willpower through eating the frog, it helps you ensure that you have as much willpower as you possibly need to perform at the highest level and get the most out of that difficult task first thing in the day. Now, the two most common questions that I get from clients when I'm talking about the eating the frog principle is, first and foremost, when do I know that a task falls into the frog category? And second, how much time should I be dedicating to that frog project every single day if it's going to take me multiple days to do it? So first and foremost, let's answer the first question. In terms of prioritization, in my experience, tasks typically fall into that frog category when they're either on an imminent deadline, like they have to be done like quickly, or else, something bad is going to happen, like, your boss is going to be upset with you, or, you're going to be late on your taxes or whatever, right? That would obviously take precedence and then falls into the frog category. But also the degree of difficulty. If a task is really difficult or just really large in scale, then obviously it's going to take a lot longer. It's going to need more of your focus to get it done. Therefore, it falls into the frog category, so that you can ensure that you have the right amount of time, based on the deadline and the degree of difficulty, to get that frog done and out of the way. And then second, in terms of time blocking, we're going to talk about time blocking more in episode 3 of this series. But basically, when it comes to the eating the frog principle, just be sure to give yourself anywhere between 60 minutes to 90 minutes each day of uninterrupted time to work on that task, so that you're doing so efficiently. As you can imagine, when you're trying to implement the eating the frog exercise for the first time, or maybe just the first time in a while, there might be some pushback that you're going to go through, some obstacles or setbacks that you're going to face. So what I want to do is I want to point out the 4 most common obstacles that I've found with myself, my personal experience with eating the frog, as well as the clients that try to implement it for the first time on our program. And so those 4 common obstacles that I've come across are: first, perfectionism; second, overcommitment; third, distractions; and then fourth, being too lenient. So let me explain what I mean by all 4. So first is perfectionism, and that goes without saying. Most of us, when we have a large task that we have to do, a project where our reputation is based on, we're going to want to make it perfect. And that is actually the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here. Yes, we're trying to be effective and we're trying to do the best we possibly can. But the best that we possibly can, in my mind, is giving it the most amount of willpower, the most time, and the most energy that we possibly can. It's not about being perfect. It's just about applying those 3 things as much as we can to that task. And as long as we do that, which we are doing by eating the frog and doing it first thing in the morning, or first thing when we get going with our day, we're automatically doing the best we can. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to be effective. Number 2, overcommitment. And what I mean by that is most clients, there are a lot of clients, I should say, that, they like the eating the frog exercise, but what they try to do is they do like 2 or 3 projects of eating the frog at the same time. And that just doesn't work. I've tried it myself. It doesn't work. You have to focus on just one frog at a time. Knock that frog out, get it out of the way so that you never have to worry about it again, and then move on to the next one on your list. But don't try to do 2 to 3 at a time. It'll eliminate all your progress altogether. Plus, you're not giving it the amount of willpower, time, and energy that we want to on 1 or 2 of those frogs. So make sure you're just focusing on one. Third is the distractions. The distractions will kill you. And by distractions, I mean, social media, emails, anything that dings, conversations that you're gonna have at work, or, telling yourself that you're gonna make a 30-minute break every so often. All those things go against what we're trying to do. Give yourself 60 minutes at the minimum to focus on a task that you don't want to do, a large or unwanted task, and see what comes of it. I honestly believe, and you're gonna find it too, that you're gonna see the best results possible because you've allotted yourself just uninterrupted time. And we'll talk about deep work in episode 4 of this series to make sure that you're getting the most from everything. And then fourth is being too lenient. Basically, you're just giving yourself too many exceptions to the rule of eating the frog. You're also being lenient on maybe when you eat the frog. And that's the opposite of what we want to do as well, because you have to do it first thing. You have to. Now, I'm not saying you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and get to it right away, get to your computer and start hashing it out. No, I'm just talking about whenever your day starts. So for example, for me, I'm getting the kids up and everything like that. I'm dropping off my son at the sitter, and I work out from 9 to 10. So I don't eat the frog the very first thing in the morning when I wake up. I eat the frog around 10:30, 11 when I start my day with the business. Typically my frogs are related to, the company of Fast and Focus. So I start those first thing in the morning. It's the first thing on my list to do. And that helps me get the most out of that task because everything else leading up to it hasn't really required too much of my willpower. So I still have enough to focus on that task and do the best with what I can do without, again, trying to be perfect. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Eating the frog can help empower you to conquer challenging tasks that life and your career try to throw at you. And as a result, the people of importance in your life, whether that be your spouse, your boss, or your clients, are going to feel like they can trust you to get the hard stuff done right away and the right way for maximum efficiency. Now, if this exercise appeals to you, then I encourage you, just try eating the frog for 7 straight days, 1 week. Give me 1 week to try this principle and figure out what your frog is in this current season of life. Give yourself 60 to 90 minutes every day, first thing in the morning when you start your day, you start your job, whatever it is, and go all out for that 60 to 90 minutes. Now, I believe that we should actually end this episode, just to remind you about the eating the frog and what we're talking about here. I want to end this episode with the same quote we started it with by Mark Twain. So let's go over it again. If it's your job to eat a frog, to do a large or unwanted task, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for joining this episode of Fast and Focus. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the show and our channel to stay motivated on your path to success. Remember, eat the frog first thing in the morning. Don't put it off any longer. Keep pushing forward, stay resilient, and focus on the journey ahead.